The camera opens on a rain-soaked city street late evening. The skies are overcast, a dull gray tint stretching across the sky. The city's lights flicker, trying but failing to push through the shadows. A young black teenager, Jalen, stands beneath the flickering glow of a street lamp. His worn clothes hang loosely on his thin frame, and his oversized backpack bulges with whatever belongings he has left. His face tells a story of pain, but it also hides something more, a determination to survive, to make it through another day. He stares ahead, but his eyes seem distant, lost. He's not looking at the people walking past him, but rather at the spaces between them, the places where no one ever notices him. People walk by and don't even see me. I've learned to be invisible. You walk the streets long enough, you stop expecting to be noticed. People don't look at you, don't ask your name. You're just another face in the crowd, another number. A ghost, that's what I am, just a ghost. But if I'm being honest, maybe it's better that way. Cut to Jalen as a young child, sitting in a rundown apartment. His mother, once kind and loving, now sits slumped over, a cigarette hanging from her fingertips. Her eyes are glazed over, lost in a world that no longer includes Jalen. The apartment is dim, cluttered with empty bottles and worn-out furniture. Jalen is alone, his small body curled up in the corner, staring out the window at the world beyond, a world he can never touch. When you grow up like I did, you don't expect much. My mom was supposed to take care of me, but the drugs took her from me. I'd wake up to an empty fridge, empty rooms, and sometimes she wouldn't even come home. I spent most of my childhood trying to make sense of a world that didn't make sense to me. I didn't even know what family was supposed to feel like. I just knew what it felt like to be alone. The scene shifts to Jalen being shuffled between foster homes. A smiling couple opens the door to him, but Jalen sees the fake warmth in their eyes. They say all the right things, but Jalen can tell they don't see him. He's a temporary solution, not a real part of their lives. Foster homes? They tell you it's supposed to be better than what you came from, but it doesn't feel like it. You're just a kid to them, a project, a responsibility. They don't really care about you. They never do. I spent my teenage years bouncing from one house to another, looking for something that felt like home. But the truth? I didn't know what home felt like anymore. We return to Jalen on the street. His stomach growls, reminding him that he hasn't eaten in hours. His feet ache from walking all day, but he keeps going. He walks past a diner, eyeing the window as the smell of food teases him. He doesn't go inside, though. He can't afford it. He can't afford anything. Jalen keeps walking, his eyes scanning the street, looking for any opportunity. He's learned how to survive by reading people's body language, their movements. He knows when someone's willing to help and when they're just passing by. He's become an expert in invisibility. Survival's a skill you develop when no one's there to help you. You learn to be unnoticed. You learn to read the streets like a map. It's not about living. It's about making it to the next day. That's all it is. Make it to tomorrow, and you can figure out the rest later. One morning, Jalen passes by a local bank. He sees a man standing outside, his head hidden beneath the hood of a sweatshirt. The man is watching the street, looking around nervously, scanning the area. Jalen can feel something isn't right. The air is thick with tension. He doesn't know what it is, but something about the man's posture, the way he's holding himself, it's familiar. The man's unease is mirrored in Jalen's own memories of fear and desperation. He can tell that the man is on the edge, about to make a decision he might not be able to take back. Jalen's feet slow as he approaches, and he pauses just for a second, unsure if he should continue. But then, he hears the sound of a car door slam shut, the bank door opening, and his instincts kick in. He doesn't know what's about to happen, but he knows he can't just walk away. I've seen fear before. I've been the one with nothing, the one who doesn't know where his next meal is coming from. I've been the one trying to make a desperate choice. I know what that looks like, but it doesn't mean it's too late to change. Jalen steps forward, walking toward the man standing at the door of the bank. The man looks up as Jalen gets closer. There's something in his eyes, desperation, fear, and maybe something deeper, something Jalen recognizes, hopelessness. "Hey," You don't have to do this. The man stiffens and his eyes narrow, alarmed. He pulls something from his jacket, a gun. The gun is trembling in the man's hand as he steps inside the bank, shouting at the people to get down. Jalen follows, stepping in quietly behind him. He scans the room, quickly assessing the situation. The people inside are huddled together, their faces a mixture of fear and confusion. No one moves. The robber's voice shakes as he shouts at the employees, demanding money. But his eyes keep darting back to Jalen, who stands motionless by the door, watching him. The sound of the gunfire echoing in the bank is deafening, the tension thick enough to choke. "I said get down! No one move!" Jalen feels the surge of adrenaline. His body is alert, his heart pounding in his chest. He can feel the fear surrounding him, but something inside him refuses to let this continue. He takes a step forward, his voice calm, his eyes locked on the robbers. "This isn't the way. You don't have to hurt anyone. You can walk away. I know what it feels like. I've been there, but hurting someone else, it's not the answer." The robber's hand shakes, and for a moment Jalen sees the man hesitate. It's brief, but it's there. He's not sure if he can go through with it. "You don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through." "I don't need to know. I see you. I see the fear. I've been where you are." The man's eyes flicker, uncertainty clouding his face. He lowers the gun slightly, his gaze shifting to the people on the floor. The bank security guard shifts nervously, watching the scene unfold. The sound of sirens starts in the distance, and Jalen knows that things are about to escalate. "I wasn't trying to be a hero. I wasn't trying to be brave. I just couldn't walk away from someone who was on the edge. I couldn't let him make the same mistake I almost made." That's what this is about. Facing the moment when everything you thought you knew falls apart, and deciding to do something different. The robber looks up at Jalen, his breathing erratic. He doesn't know whether to point the gun at him or let it go. Jalen holds his gaze, his eyes steady, his voice still calm. "You don't have to hurt anyone. I promise you, there's another way." The robber's gun slips from his fingers, hitting the ground with a loud clatter. The man sinks to his knees, exhausted, as if a weight has been lifted from his shoulders. The room is quiet for a moment, the tension broken. The police arrive shortly after, taking the robber into custody. Jalen stands aside, watching as the situation is handled. The security guard approaches him, his eyes wide with disbelief. You stopped it. You stopped the robbery. How?" "I just talked to him. He wasn't some criminal. He was just a guy who lost his way." The officer nods, watching Jalen with a mix of respect and surprise. "Kid, you saved lives today. You did something none of us could do." Jalen doesn't respond, his mind still racing. The adrenaline is still coursing through his veins, but there's a sense of peace, too. Something inside him is shifting. Maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have to keep surviving. Maybe he can start living. "I don't know what tomorrow holds, but today I did something that mattered, and that's enough for me." Maybe that's all any of us need, a moment to make the right choice, to show up when it counts, to stop surviving and start living. The camera pulls back as Jalen walks down the street, the city lights now glowing bright, the world around him just a little bit clearer. His journey is far from over, but for the first time, it feels like he's heading in the right direction.